Let's begin in faraway United Kingdom, where the former Deputy President of the Senate, Ekweremadu, will be spending the next 9 years and 8 months behind bars. And this is happening on the day the judge at the Central Criminal Court, also known as the Old Bailey, sentenced Mr. Ekweremadu, his wife, and Doctor Obinna Obeta to jail. At the sentencing hearing earlier today, Mr. Ekweremadu's wife, Beatrice, was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months imprisonment, while Dr. Obeta received a 10-year prison term. The sentencing follows their conviction in March for organ harvesting. Luckily, Ekweremadu's sick daughter, Sonia, was cleared of any wrongdoing. The three were found guilty after facilitating a young Nigerian man's travel to the United Kingdom in a bid to obtain his kidney on behalf of Sonia. And for more on this development, let's talk now to a senior lecturer from the University of Hull, Misbah Lateef, who joins us live on the news at 7. Thank you for joining us on the program. It's perhaps the first time organ harvesting conspiracy charges will be brought under the UK's 2015 Slavery Act. So this is considered a landmark judgment. Talk to us about the symbolism and how the UK media is reacting right now.
Nifemi, good evening, and thank you for having me on your news hour. Like you have rightly captured that, what happened today in the UK was actually a very significant one and a landmark judgment indeed, because that represents, in a way, the first of its kind since the Modern Slavery Act was passed by the Parliament in 2015. And that could also explain the reason why the case has generated so much, I would say, attention and even controversy, or even publicity, if you like. So the significance, therefore, as you could sense, if you're around me here, is this feel, or, the satisfaction that the objective of this law in a way has been achieved. And one of such objectives is to actually prohibit what is called modern slavery, which manifests in different ways, such as hard labor, human trafficking, organ trafficking, and all of that. And particularly the objective to also safeguard the victim of such crime, and which victims are usually regarded as people, very poor people, people who are ravaged by poverty, people whose conditions are generally below the people who seek to exploit them. So the significance lies in all of these factors. The importance, how the justice system in the UK, the criminal justice system works, compared to the Nigerian criminal justice system, because in a way it is also a conflict, between the two criminal justice systems. And you could see the kind of robustness, that was brought into bear in the prosecution of this case since the matter started sometime in 2022.
Absolutely. The highest, the maximum sentence under the legislation is life imprisonment. Would you say that the plea for clemency, as we've seen across board from past government leaders in Nigeria, even ECOWAS, did that play any significant role in the sentencing?
Well, it is important to actually acknowledge that the judge, Mr. Justice Johnson, acknowledged in his judgment that he received, clemency plea from all over the world, and he specifically mentioned some personages from Nigeria, and he did acknowledge that he took consideration of those and he considered them as constituting, according to him, a substantial, mitigating factor for the sentencing that eventually passed. So it is safe to actually say that all of those pleas, they actually help, maybe in a way minimizing the sentence that was eventually passed. However, the judge did also acknowledge, in his judgment, he did say that having reviewed the evidence and all of that, he did not think that the case warranted applying the maximum sentencing, which is life imprisonment, or extended sentencing, that is sentencing that could go beyond 10 years. So I think what the judge did basically, was to come in between the line. He didn't go to the far extreme.
Indeed.
And then he didn't apply the extended sentencing.
So well, let's talk about, very quickly, Dr. Lateef, let's talk about the possibility of the former Deputy Senate leader, Senate President, leaving before the end of at the expiration of the sentence. There's what they call prerogative of mercy here in Nigeria. Does it apply in the UK?
Yeah, prerogative of mercy applies in the UK, and there is still something I think which is more important here. You see, in 2014, there was a prisoner exchange agreement between Nigeria and UK. Mr. Ekweremadu could also apply to serve his prison times in Nigeria. I don't know whether he want to do that, but the point is that even the sentencing that has been passed now, he would serve part of them in the custody, and then he will serve the latter part, under what we call a probation system, whereby it would be released. So it will not actually spend the entire 9 years in prison. So it will be released at some point in time. I think it will spend 2/4 of that in custody, and then it will spend the remainder outside prison, where it will be under supervision. But like I said earlier, it could actually opt to serve his prison times in Nigeria. Such agreement exists between Nigeria and the UK, and it was entered in 2014. I wouldn't know if you want to explore that option, but that is another possibility.
Senior lecturer from the University of Hull, Musbah Lateef, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.
Thank you, Nifemi. Thank you.